Good morning. Welcome to your daily devotional with me, PMV. We've been exploring the topic of overcoming our fears and what the presence of God has to do with that. We're going to begin to get a little more specific on this today, and then tomorrow we'll get very specific on how to take Scripture, how to take the promises of God and really apply them to your life in overcoming fear. But today I want to move from Mark to Joshua. Now, Moses was one of the greatest leaders in the nation of Israel, in the history of the Jewish people. And as he was about to die, Joshua was going to take over leadership. And he was supposed to lead the Jewish people into the promised land, to inherit the land God had promised to Abraham. And as Moses is getting ready to die, in Deuteronomy 31, he tells Joshua, "Do not fear, do not be dismayed, be strong and courageous. God's going to be with you. God will see to it that you accomplish the purposes that he has for you and these people." So Moses tells Joshua that. Then Moses dies and God speaks to Joshua. Look at Joshua chapter 1. It says, "After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, 'Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I'm giving them, the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I've given you, as I said to Moses.'" So God starts out with reiterating, reminding Joshua of his promises. Hey, this isn't about you. This is about what I'm doing, and I'm going to fulfill my word to my people. Verse 4, "From the wilderness and this Lebanon as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you." Look at this. "I will not leave you nor forsake you." These are God's promises to Joshua. Now he commands him, "Be strong and of good courage, for to this people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them." Here it is again. "Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it." So God tells him, look, I'm going to be with you, but you need to walk in obedience to me, to my commands, to my word. Then he says, "For when you do this, you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success." Now listen, verse 9. "Have I not commanded you?" Commanded you. God makes it very clear. "Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." So God repeatedly tells Joshua, even commands him, to be strong and of good courage, to not be afraid. Now, how could God do that? That doesn't seem very fair to us, does it? We have to understand that what precedes the command are the promises of God. God had already promised Joshua, "As I was with Moses, I'll be with you. I'm going to fulfill my word. These people are going to take the land. It will be theirs." Everything about it was what God was doing, what he was promising to his people. And it was in the context of those promises that then he looks at Joshua and he says, "So you do not be afraid. Be strong, be courageous." That was God commanding Joshua to trust him, to rely on him, to be faithful to his word. And that didn't just happen in Joshua chapter 1, at the beginning of chapter 1. God says this again in verse 18, tells them to be strong and courageous. Then in Joshua chapter 8, verse 1, they have a setback in a battle because of disobedience to God. As they're going back into the battle for a second time after correcting their sin, God tells Joshua, "Do not fear and do not be dismayed." Then in Joshua chapter 10, verse 8, before they begin the southern campaign of Canaan, God tells them, "Do not fear, for I've given them into your hands." Then Joshua chapter 10, verse 25, now Joshua is speaking to the commanders of the army. And Joshua says, "Do not be afraid. or dismayed. Be strong and courageous. And then lastly, in Joshua chapter 11, verse 16, as they're beginning the northern campaign, God says to Joshua once again, do not be afraid of them, for tomorrow at this time I will give them all over to Israel. Now look, God calls Joshua, he commands Joshua to moments of courage in the face of leadership struggles, battle, great responsibilities, and even great uncertainty. But the foundation of this courage that God is commanding of Joshua is not Joshua's strength or his abilities, but the promises and the faithfulness and the character of God himself. God, in essence, is commanding Joshua, trust me, look to me, believe me, be strong and courageous in me. So really, if we understand it this way, it's not unfair to say that in this context, if Joshua were to fear, if Joshua were to be dismayed or to not be courageous, in this context, it would be for him a sin. God has already commanded him. God has promised him. God has said, this is what is going to happen. And so for Joshua to not believe God would be a sin. It would be doubting the very character, the nature of God, the promises of God. And what I want us to begin to see is that many of our fears are rooted in that same thing. Many of our fears are rooted in a doubt in the character and the promises of God. And once we can begin to see that and understand that and admit that, then we're ready to begin dealing with those fears in the presence of God, with His help. Look, God's presence is the answer to our fears. And our fears ultimately have some element of doubting the character of God. And so again, once we acknowledge this, then we're ready to move forward. I hope you'll come back tomorrow. We're going to look at a list of specific scriptures and how we can claim them and how they can help us to trust God and to overcome our fears. Thank you for watching or listening, whatever platform you're on. I hope to see you tomorrow. If this has benefited you, you can find out more at pmvministries.org. I hope you have a great day.